What the just happened on Sunday? We'll talk about this coming up next on the Wincinnati podcast. Ace, he is Zim.
It's an exciting time to be a Bengals fan.
Welcome to the Wincinnati podcast, powered by BETUS. Shout out to our sponsor. But like I said in the intro, man, what the was that? I don't know what that was, partner. Like, apparently, the Bengals are up to their old week one ways. The Zac Taylor era is among us with the week ones, at least. Kind of crazy, man. So, of course, you guys, we're going to get into a lot of things. But first, before we get into that, it was somewhat a bittersweet kind of situation. Zim talked to the people about being in Midwest. I know you don't like to make this show about you, but just talk to the people about week one, the atmosphere, before we get into the disaster that happened at 1:00 on Sunday.
Man, I had a great time in Cincinnati as always. I got my voice kind of back, so I feel good about that. But I feel like we were representing the whole time. Shout out to Tim and Nicole. We were at Midwest Best. So if you guys had a chance to come to Midwest, at one point it was flooded. They had to open out the outside area and everything. So shout out to Midwest Best. I feel like we were putting a lot of people on to some real good food and some real good people. So all those people were there. We did that. We had fun there. You know me, I'm at the banks. I'm running around doing my thing. And so I get back and get ready for this game. And when I go into that stadium, I don't think anybody thought that the Bengals were going to lose. I feel like the energy was a little shaky because of the Chase contract, which I guess we'll talk about kind of loosely today. I don't know. But once we saw him practice, people started like when that news came that he was practicing, it changed a little bit. And I felt like everybody's like, all right. His player intro, it was good. I thought that, I'm used to the crowd going crazy. And they were. I thought they were really loud for Shiesty. But the Jamar one, like when he flies his plane, he just had that look with him. And I just was like, it's not the same. It's a lot. It's that contract was looming over top of him, I thought. And then, as the game goes on, I mean, I guess we're getting to the game.
Yeah. I mean, so
we
let's
had a show like,
for a second.
You remember we had a show like this last year, and I don't know if we're going to be on the same end, but I was talking to somebody, and they were like, it was the offense, it was the defense, it was. I'm here to tell you, them 3 first drives is the whole game. To like everything after it. Sure, we're going to talk about it, but you cannot come back with a healthy Joe Burrow and come out there at your home opener all orange out. Three straight possessions, only nine plays, just 3 and out.
We'll get into that. Let's bring it back to the Jamar Chase situation, right? Because everybody was on pins and needles, I feel like, until around 10:00, right? 10:00, we see Jamar Chase show up. Then we end up seeing him on the field. It was a weird situation because we've kind of talked about ad nauseum. This is kind of the end of how the situation plays out, right? So like we weren't here to talk to people about Friday. So Jamar Chase gets interviewed on Friday. He says that that's his deadline, right, for the deal to happen. If there is a deal, this is my deadline. I'm here. I don't know if I'm going to play, is what he kind of says, which kind of threw people into a frenzy, right? He was like, I'm a game time decision. I'm making myself a game time decision. Let's see if we can get something to happen. Nothing ends up happening. There's a lot of like rumors and stuff like that trickling around Saturday, Sunday. Nothing is done. There was even someone that tried to say something like, did somebody say the deal got done at halftime? Like the deal didn't get done. It's a weird situation. The Jamar Chase situation is frustrating because for me, just speaking for me, Like, this is a situation that shouldn't even be here. We find out more details, which we didn't have the last time that we talked to you, saying that the Bengals reached out first to try to establish this deal, right? So Jamar Chase himself wasn't even thinking about an extension or anything like that. The Bengals apparently approached him, brought an offer to the table. The receiver market then ends up exploding. So the weird part about this to me was they were supposedly trying to talk to T or something like that at the same time. So I guess the story about T not being talked to, them not reaching out, somebody had to not be telling the truth, because it seems like the Bengals were focused on Jamar Chase and possibly not T. Higgins at that time, even though there are reports that said that the Bengals tried to come back to the table. So that situation is going on in the background. We assume that the money that was kept over from free agency had to be for something. It makes more sense now that it was the Jamar Chase thing. However, guarantees have kind of been an issue with the Bengals in the past. The length of the contract has been issues with the Bengals in the past. They've never had an issue with, average salary or guarantee, or not guarantees, but average salary. But the guarantees have always been an issue. So I could speculate and say that's probably something that they couldn't come to terms with. Jamar Chase said that they were close. It just needed to be a couple of tweaks here and there. And here we are Monday as it sits without a Jamar Chase extension. Like, what are we doing, bro? What are we doing?
I don't know. I think the whole situation, and we've gone through, we did that for months. And as you find out more information as this thing has gone on, as far as like Jamar and how it went down and stuff, it makes the front office look incompetent. It makes them look weak, and it makes all the other players, I think, on the roster like look at that and be like, oh, that's how they doing it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a good look. So if you're going to start out the conversation, we were talking about this, and I was telling you this, it feels like a little scammy, or like a little like a hustle man or something. Like you trying to throw me like that. I'm not going to go into the details of what what happened, but I know exactly what happened with the deal. So. But they were supposed to be done on Friday.
And D-Lo finesse.
They definitely tried to finesse. They've been trying to finesse like the big dogs like for too long, and it works on certain players. It doesn't. It's not going to work on him. Like they were supposed. This is another thing. A lot of people be like, "Why do people online be thinking they know everything?" And not listen. It's come out now, so I can say it. The deal was supposed to be done on Friday. It's the reason why Jamar was like, I'm gonna talk to y'all on Friday. Like, you know what I mean? So,
right.
They tried on Friday, they tried on Saturday, they even tried on Sunday morning. So, like, I think Ari and somebody, I forgot the dude's name. I think all of that has probably come out somewhere. I don't know exactly what he wrote, but yeah, bro, they were really close, but they didn't do it because of a lot of like stuff that you're not expecting from that front office. And it makes me feel like I don't know if they're good enough to keep this thing afloat without like a private investment company or something like that. I don't know. It just feels really weird to me. But I thought that loomed over the whole entire thing. I think that in conjunction, which I think was even bigger for the actual game, T. Higgins, him going through the whole motions of the whole summer, the whole offense is geared to T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and everybody else. To find out on Friday that he's not going to play, do y'all know how crazy and how – I don't know if people are talking about that enough. Like, I don't care why it happened or how it happened, whatever, but just from an offensive standpoint and everything that you had planned, you pretty much planned that game for like the last – 6-7 months? Like, if you really go back into it, and somebody had a good comment right there. Yeah, this is a chess match. And the way that this whole thing has gone is now the Bengals are in a position where they're paying a guy 23 guaranteed, and he don't really, and like he can play, he don't got to play. You know what I mean? Can you imagine going that far and game planning it? And then I think I'm going to be very critical on the offense, as you're going to see on the show. and this isn't an excuse, but that's a tough hill to climb when you're planning it and then it foils right in front of your face right before the game.
Yeah, I mean,
there's not too many coaches that can get out of that.
There's not really many two coaches that can get out of that. I mean, that's the game plan, right? And T. Higgins is an integral part of this offense. That's one of the reasons that I've always said, like, you can't go find another T. Higgins at Walmart. You can't replace him, especially like we said, we're going to talk about the offense, how predictable the offense is, right? Like, a lot of this offense is predicated on your superstars making the plays. And when you don't have five lining up out there, it's not the same. Like, I'm not trying to talk about anybody on the roster per se, but T. Higgins is who he is. Even Ocho Cinco tried to argue that he was a top 10 receiver on him and Unk's podcast, but that's who T. Higgins is. And to not see him, like you said, it is possibly a chess match. So, like, yes, it could be that T. Higgins had a hamstring injury. I don't want to take that away from him. But if I'm Dave Mulligetta, if I'm going to play devil's advocate, this could be my situation talking to you saying, okay, you thought the whole thing with Jesse Bates where you franchised him was going to be your chess move. Well, this is mine. You're not going to do that with any of my agents anymore. And these are the kind of tactics that we're going to use to try to do certain things to try to get our point across. And so to me, though, I know a lot of people have made this a Dave Mulligetta thing. Look at the Jamar Chase situation. He's not being represented by Dave Mulligetta. I just think some of the core people on your team, and we said this in the space earlier, who are your core right now? Who are your best players? Joe Burrow, Trey Hendrickson, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins. No matter what order you want to put those in, those are your top players. All of them outside of Joe Burrow have contract situations that are up in the air. And to me, there's no way that this isn't a distraction anymore. Like, for me, it's just, I think it's clearly a distraction. I think the Jamar Chase situation was a distraction. Like you said, it's awkward. For me, is Jamar Chase is coming out of the tunnel with all of the whole, like, I don't know if he's playing or not. They should have, like, it should have been a roar in the jungle when he came out of that tunnel. Instead, it's weird. And, like, to me, like, the last thing we're supposed to be talking about is off-season stuff. We're supposed to be focused on the season. And I think based off of what we saw, this team didn't look like a team that was focused with what's going on the field. They seemed like they were playing like what's going on off the field. But before we get into that, I just want to shout out our sponsor, BETUS. We're launching a new exciting promotion exclusively for our influencers. Forget that we're going to have that old 125% promo. We actually are now offering 150% on the first 3 deposits for our community. All that with just a promo code YouTube150. Once again, that's YouTube150. If you guys want to make some good bets out there, especially with the football season starting, we actually have a game on right now. If you wanted to go ahead and place a bet for Monday Night Football, they've got you covered there. BetUS. Head on over to betus.com. Make sure you make that bet. Also, don't forget that promo code YouTube150. That's going to get you guys that 150% instead of the old 125 that we were offering before. But back to this, bro. Like, we've got to get in to the meat and potatoes of this game. We talked about a little bit of the drama. 0 points in the first half, bro. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing here against a Patriots team, which the game plan was pretty easy to predict from what the Patriots were going to do, right? They were going to run the ball, try to play good defense, keep Joe Burrow and the offense off of the field. And the offense just didn't seem to have any kind of plan for it. Like, the cover 2 shell, we're still talking, what is this, year 3 of the cover 2 shell, and we still don't have an answer for it? The run game still doesn't look good. We still don't have anybody that can get open in this scheme, or not even get open, but get schemed open in this offense outside of Jamar Chase. We're still running the same routes. Like, bro, talk to me. Like, what is going on? Like, what was this that we saw on Sunday?
At the stadium, I was very hopeful. I still thought we were going to win the whole entire time. I never thought that we wouldn't. But just coming out there and going 3 straight off, like 3. This team is built behind a $55 million quarterback. And it's built to score points. And the defense, to me, y'all gonna probably get so sick of me this whole season. I give them a slight pass because I look at the talent and the personnel, and I just don't see like a top 10 unit to me. And when I look around the league, and then you go watch some of them other games, like I hate to say it, like the Steelers defense got way better. And I know Kirk Cousins played like trash, but just for example, I feel like some teams will have their defense take over a game. I don't feel that way about the Bengals defense. So maybe I might give them the benefit of the doubt sometimes. I thought that if they kept them under 20 points, the Bengals should roll. And if they score 20, that's a lot. But, you know, like every single week, I'm thinking the Bengals offense should take it to them. From the very beginning, it's unexcusable that, like you just said, we're in year 4 of the Joe Burrow project. Like his rookie year, it counts. And to come out there and what are we like 1-5 in the Zac Taylor era on first weeks? So he doesn't win early on. So we're always stagnant. And the first 3 drives just took the wind out of the whole place. Yeah, and no matter what the Bengals
3 punts, bro. 3 punts.
3 punts. And whatever we did defensively that was good here and there, whatever, it was like kind of like, yay, okay, because the offense is really the calling card. Like when we're online or you're in the chat or whatever, we're talking about the weapons. We're talking about Joe Burrow. We're talking about so defense wins championships, but our offense is the foundation of the championship. And when it comes out like that, I just thought that they weren't ready to go. It wasn't, for whatever reason. And it wasn't on point. There was no spacing out on the field. Everything was tight. Joe Burrow was gun shy. Everything was underneath. One thing that I feel like a lot of other teams do is when their quarterback has a bad game, like the purple people are famous for this. When their quarterback has a bad game, because they're like so clingy to him and they don't know when their next real good game is maybe going to come. I don't know why they do this, but they always scapegoat everybody around them. But I'm a little different. My expectations for Joe Burrow are very high. So if he comes out there in a game and he's not pulling triggers, he's got pretty clean pockets. If you go look at the numbers, that game was one of his best offensive line performances. It was the top 4 that he's ever had in his career. So you can't even sell me on Trent Brown was terrible. Yes, he wasn't great in that game, but everybody else kind of graded really good. And if you were there and looked at them pockets, he was shaky and hesitant to pull a lot of triggers that I thought he could pull. The other thing is a lot of them guys weren't getting open too. So you don't have T. Higgins out there. And then all these people telling me Trent Irwin's a guy. Charlie Jones is a guy. They're not those guys. They're not. And all of our opposition tell us that every week. They're like, Joe Burrow ain't nothing without his weapons. That's not true, but there is validity to it. If you don't have T. Higgins, or you don't have like a fully,
or if you don't have the scheme or the play caller to make something out of these other people, like, yes, Joe Burrow can cook with almost anybody, but can Zac Taylor cook with almost just anybody? Can the Bengals offense? But
he did. He did though. When in last year with Browning, this is the part where I need a reporter to ask him and really stick it to him and ask him these questions. Why are you reluctant to go under center with Joe Burrow? Why did you simplify everything for Jake Browning? Here's Joe Burrow coming off of wrist surgery. Why didn't you simplify it for him? Why are you still spreading people out and still running the same 9 route, the same stick route, and the same thing that you've been doing? Why are you doing that? Why did you? Now, there's a nice way to say that, but why aren't you simplifying? Why did you only throw one screen? Why didn't you do anything to open up the offense so that it's not so tight? Give him something easy. That's what we seen Zac Taylor. You know why Zac Taylor isn't on the hot seat? Because he might be on it again right now, right? But he wasn't on the hot seat because of what he did when Joe Burrow got hurt. Remember, everybody was like, I need to see Zac Taylor do it when Joe Burrow not there. And he did it. He did it. And so to come out like this now, I'm like, why did you set Shiesty up and make it hard like that for him? But as we get to the end of the game, we'll talk about. I go right back to Joe Burrow. You got to take this. Ain't training wheels. This ain't Caleb Williams. This ain't Anthony Richardson. This ain't none of them dudes. This is Joe Burrow. So all the excuses and everything like that, people that say, I mean, all that stuff that people say as far as excuses go and stuff like that, I just don't be hearing it for Joe Burrow, because when he wins, we're the loudest people in the world telling everybody how great he is. So when we lose, you can't gloss past the fact that he did not play a good enough game to the standards that we're used to.
Yeah, Joe definitely didn't play a good game. Like you said, you mentioned a lot of good nuggets there. This Bengals offense, man, I'm going to just read what exactly happened. First quarter, punt. Second quarter, punt, fumble. Let's see. Third quarter, turnover on downs, touchdown, field goal, punt. That was the most atrocious one. The last punt was crazy. This offense, man, I agree with you. Joe Burrow is definitely at fault for this game. Like, I'm not trying to take anything away from him. But when I look at this route chart by Ja'Marr Chase and see that he only was targeted 6 times, with a game where T. Higgins is not out of there, is not in there, Ja'Marr Chase, no Tyler Boyd anymore. Like, I understand Yoshi is our dog, whatever, cool, right? But this is Yoshi's first game. Right. You talk about having Charlie Jones out there. You talk about having Trenton Irwin out there. No Jermaine Burton, which we'll get to that, by the way. Crazy. No Jermaine Burton. You mean to tell me you gave Ja'Marr Chase 6 targets and you thought that was a game plan going in when you got guys like Marcus Jones, a guy like Christian Gonzalez, who did solid on Ja'Marr Chase, but by no means was he somebody that was keeping them in check, because Ja'Marr Chase caught every single target when the guy was on him. 6 targets for Ja'Marr. Like, are we serious? Like, we don't have these guys back there anymore. Those guys aren't back there anymore. It's just Uno by himself in this game, and you can't sell me that 6 targets was enough for Ja'Marr Chase. It should be a minimum of 10. He should have gotten like 15 in this game. Like, in this game, Ja'Marr Chase is literally your best offensive player. He was your best offensive player in this game, and you let cover 2 shell take him away. You let cover 2 shell turn Zach Moss into one of your main receivers on dump offs. Like, bro, Shiesty, I gotta talk to you too. You gotta push it down the field, bro. Like, if Zach isn't making the right calls, you gotta take control of the offense. You gotta take things by the horn. And like you said, he looked nervous. He looked unsure of himself. He wasn't seeing guys. He wasn't even looking at Ja'Marr Chase on the left side when he was open and stacking guys. Like, what are we in cover 1? Right. In cover 1, like, what are we doing?
That's the one that was killing me. I was sitting on that side. So every time that I would see like a one-on-one, I'm like, oh yeah. And he wasn't even looking his way.
Didn't even look his way, bro.
I feel like people overthink Ja'Marr Chase on our team sometimes, because you can't go to him too much. I feel like sometimes when you're not spreading the wealth, this was one of the games. This was one of them games. If you just get it to him in space, let him break a tackle, get into the make. Every key third down that they needed to get with him, he got those. All the big throw that they had then when they finally did, he got those. So the whole, like, you know how I was like, bro, don't play him like all the plays. I didn't mind the pitch count. He ended up playing about like 84%. That's perfect. But when he's out there, you can't treat him like, well, he wasn't there at all the practices. T. Higgins isn't there. He bailed on the whole thing because he's hurt, right? And so your plan is now changed. So now you got to do that thing that you've been doing. And I think in itself, it would make it easy for him. And the fact that he wasn't looking at him, I feel like it was a confidence thing with him. Now, you could look at the box score, which I know people probably will look at, and this is where I don't let him off the hook, because it's an efficient game at 73% completion percentage, which is wow, right?
He was supposed to actually, the expected completion percentage was 76. So he was 3% less than which is crazy, because on next gen stats, Joe Burrow is always in the positive. This game, he was in the negative.
Right. And so for him to have that, you're like, okay, but it was all checkdowns. The other day, we literally were watching quarterbacks in the league. This was a very low producing first week. There was only like a total of 34 touchdowns for all these teams. There's teams that that only threw for 180 something yards, 170. There's a list of a lot of guys that didn't go crazy, but a lot of those teams, they had control of the game, so you don't have to go crazy. Just Joe Burrow hitting the Gesicki, not Gesicki, the T. Huddy one or the Gesicki one, and then taking a shot like at the end of the game. Just those two things combined would have gave him like 250, a touchdown. It would have looked like solid work coming into the game. I said, bro, I think you're gonna get like 270, 260, something like that. If you would have just did that, pushed the ball down, the shots were there. There was a double move that he had on third down that he had the look that he wanted pre-snap with Jamar on a one-on-one. And I don't know why he didn't pull the trigger. And we sat there and talked about other quarterbacks that played earlier in the week or whatever, and I watched them check the ball down for a whole game. And I was sitting there thinking like, yeah, I'm so glad I don't got one of them. And the only thing that saved like Lamar, I guess, in that game is because he can run. But he checked, and I'm like, bro, no wonder they think, you know what I mean? I'm sitting there watching like, yeah, Joe Burrow be pushing down the field. He did not. He does not play like that. And that's the part that like is frustrating for me. Is like when you know his game, he doesn't do that. Like he could simplify and take the check downs or whatever, but it's because he's already going through his progressions. He wasn't even really going through full progressions in a lot of those spots. And I just thought that he looked unsure of himself. I don't feel like it was a health thing. I thought it was a confidence thing because the looks that I think he was looking for in a couple different spots, I felt like he should have uncorked it. The offensive line, I thought for the most part, I thought it was okay. I thought the right side of the line had some flaws to it, and Trent Brown showed up like a couple times where you got a fast Keon White on or whatever. But in the run game, the drive that they did do the 12 personnel, and then they brought in the extra block and stuff, he was bowling. Like the right side was cooking. In the run, like Kappa and him were bowling people over, and they had a really good drive where they could do anything they wanted. And they were really good in 12 personnel, and they got away from that. It's like everything I think that was, and this is the messed up part. Moving forward, when they go to Chiefs, the Chiefs now are going to say, oh, y'all look good in 12 personnel. So now they're about to game plan for it. So Zac Taylor is going to be like, yeah, I'm coming with 12 personnel because those plays work. The Chiefs is ready for you. And that's the problem with like now it becomes a talent thing. And to me, I don't know when you want to talk about the Burton thing, but to me, that having Charlie Jones out there, having Tanner Hudson out there, and Joe Burrow going to those guys instead of Jamar Chase, there is validity to what Ops say. They be like, man, all they got is the weapons. Yeah, because we drafted them and we earned it. Yeah, we could throw to them guys. It's no problem. What's the problem? Yeah. You mad because I drafted them? Yeah. And so it's up to us to make them pay for it. And if they say, oh, yeah, well, Joe Burrow's got the weapons. Yeah, I do got the weapons and you don't. And that's cool. Like, so what? And the fact that you didn't utilize it, like Ace just pointed out, with the 6 targets, that's unacceptable. And when I watch him play versus all the other wide receivers that everybody says is better than him, I did watch the Vikings game. I did watch some of that Dolphins game. I did watch I watched the Texans game. I watched a good amount of these games. I watched the Cowboys beat up on the Browns, punch down on them. Yeah. These guys are getting schemed open where you're seeing motion pre-snap. The Bengals were like the 3rd lowest amount of motion pre-snap. You're watching all this motion going on, all this stuff. I'm like, bro, how can you say that we're a top 5 offense in the NFL or projected to be that? You get your quarterback coming back and you're a throwing team and you're not one of the more creative passing units. It doesn't make sense.
Makes absolutely no sense, man. Let me get into some of these super chats and we're going to keep the conversation going. Justin Neff, shout out to him, bro. Appreciate you. He says, I don't give a damn who they regardless of this nasty L we just took. Of course, bro. That's what we on too, but we do have to, be critical of other team and kind of give our analysis or our thoughts on it. Chris Tucker, Zim and Ace could have called better plays than Zach. Justin Neff, the defense could have been better, but they did enough to let the offense win the game. And then our boy Chris says the loss was tough. He said he saw you on the Jumbotron Zim at the game.
Yes, sir.
So that's fire.
I bet you saw me turned up. Anybody said that they saw Zim who they sitting down, you was a lie. I was turned up. By the time I got to the second half, I went to the tailgate and everything, so I'm blitzed. By the time I got to the second half, I said, all right, let me lock in. So I think that's when he probably told me.
Nah, that's dope, bro. But the tight end from by committee thing, I didn't understand that. Like, I guess it makes sense why they kept so many tight ends, but why Mike Gesicki was not getting the majority of the snaps to me was a little weird. I don't even know how much Drew Sample played. I haven't looked at the snap counts for this game, and when I did see the snap counts, I only fixated in on Burton because I was like, what was going on there? But the Bengals aren't
He
a
had 4
tight end
plays as a
team.
blocker, bro.
Yeah, like it was crazy, bro. Like, so the tight end by committee thing, I didn't understand. Like, why Mike Gesicki, who had an almost touchdown, right, is not still in there again to try to make that play. Tanner Hudson fumbles. Like, the turnover battle, whenever you lose a turnover battle, bro, you lose 80% of the time. Like, it's statistically proven that anytime that you lose that, you're likely going to lose the game. That is something that took the Bengals out of this game. But the audacity for this staff, shorthanded with no T. Higgins, didn't see anything from Charlie Jones whatsoever in the preseason. I forgot Charlie Jones was on the team. To see him get more snaps and to see Trenton Irwin go out there and get like 6 yards, and for them to sit Jermaine Burton on the bench was an act of terrorism. Zac Taylor, you are a terrorist for doing that to the Bengals offense. To watch this cover 2 shell and literally have an answer for it and Jermaine Burton, and to sit there and be like, well, he doesn't fit our culture, so we're not going to put him on the field. I don't want to hear it, bro. Anywhere else, Jermaine Burton is on the field. Even with T. Higgins there, Jermaine Burton is on the field. You couldn't draw up a play. You couldn't put a go route in for Jermaine Burton in a situation where teams were just going to stack on Chase. They're literally just going to cloud chase and make it so that nobody else can beat you deep because we got 2 safeties back there. Put Jermaine Burton in the game and run him on a go route. Even if he's just on the field, he's going to affect the offense and the defense at so many levels. The fact that this kid couldn't even get kick return reps, you let Charlie Jones go out there and fumble the ball, and then you say, you know what? We're going to trout you right back out there. We're not going to give anyone else a chance because you're great in the film room. You do everything that the culture asks for you, and you're just a great Bengal. Well, guess what? Now you just lost to the Patriots and you sat on a weapon that could have helped you within this game. And I don't want to hear he doesn't know the offense and this and that. Have him run a go route. We've been like, what have we seen him do in college? All he does is run go routes. That's it. That's all he needs to do. Put him on the field, run straight. He can't mess that up. I don't understand why we're trying to play 4D chess with Jermaine Burton. We knew that Jermaine Burton had some things that could potentially rub people the wrong way. But you don't get into a season and stick your chest out and sit there and be like, you know what? Well, you're not a Bengal and you're not listening to the calls and so you know what? You're gonna sit on the sideline. Like, what are we talking about?
What's
like,
wrong
do
with
we
them
want to
people?
win games or not? Do we want to win games or not? Jermaine Burton helps you win games. I don't understand.
And look, and I bet you there's a pessimistic person that's saying, yeah, you're just not in tune with the locker room. Like, that person's there,
it just
right?
must really be bad.
The number one thing that they say, they'd be like, well, what does Joe Burrow want? So like that's a whole nother story. But the crazy thing is, I'm willing, I can't go to sleep not knowing. Like, so look, I'll be the first one to be like, you know what? I was wrong about Burton. But how does that make you feel? You know, like, for the person that has been saying that the whole time, like, man, he don't know the playbook and stuff. I got confirmation, bro knows everything in the X route tree. Telling you that right now, like on the team, X. He could be the X. Now, if T. Higgins out there or whatever, he wouldn't have a role at all. So now I kind of understand. But now that T. Higgins isn't there, he's your best like option to take the top off the defense. Him and Yoshi and Jamar could do it. But Burton stretching the field, his speed is different. And the way that he uses his speed is different and is built to get open fast. And if Burrow doesn't feel comfortable or whatever, it opens up the underneath for him. So the field isn't so condensed. And everybody, I think the people that just don't like, I'm not going to say they don't know ball, but I don't think the people that understand like the route concepts and the actual spacing understand why we're so adamant about Burton. It has not, like, you could say all that Maury Povich, well, you know the T is, and all that weird stuff that they be doing, talking about, like, bro, like, you know, like whatever Burton's doing behind the scenes or whatever. I'm not here to speculate on nothing. It could go either way. Right. But the one thing that we all know is that we seen him and we seen what he did. So now you can't then come back after you seen Charlie Jones. You can't see him after they're like royally messed that up, and now you don't have a leg to stand on. You've been saying, oh well, Burton don't know the playbook and stuff like that. That's a conversation based off of mistakes, correct? You just watched Charlie Jones make mistakes, so you don't have to wonder what they're doing behind the scenes. You just saw Burton not drop a catch, nothing in the preseason.
And you know what else we saw, bro? Remember last year, Joe Burrow caught an audible, right? And he went to mix and he was mic'd up and he was like, just run a real route. Just run whatever route you want to. So you mean to tell me he can't do that with Burton? He can't say, hey, go run this route.
I feel that too, like in a game-winning type situation. But just in a normal, like he knows, that's cap. Like the people that are writing that stuff, they just don't like him. And so the fans are just eating that up and being like, yeah, well, you know what I heard? Like, shut up. Like, shut up. You can't still be saying that after you just watched Charlie Jones do that, because now perspective goes both ways. If you don't know what's good, you would say, Zim and Ace, y'all don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Yes, that's exactly why you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But you know what we both do have? We both have eyes. You have eyes, I have eyes. We saw what Burton did. You just saw what Charlie Jones did. Now, if you're trying to win or you're trying to prove a point about, yeah, this is the way we do stuff, I'm not with that. Like, I don't care about how it gets down. I don't care how we do it. It's about winning. And if you're committed to winning, it's not just Burton. It's anything on the team that can help you win a game. And if you're not willing to lift every nook and cranny and lift every rock to go find that, then what are you doing? You just on the you got to be a diehard Bengal to watch our show. You got to be a diehard Bengal to even be on social media talking and stuff. So what are you doing? You just doing this with your social media thing to be like, yeah, I plant my flag with Charlie Jones. I'm a Ted Karras guy or whatever. I'm not here for that.
Damian Willis guy. You sound like a Damian Willis guy.
I like all these players, bro. But I'm not here to plant my flag. I believe Yoshi gonna be that dude. I don't think that Yoshi right now can do a lot of stuff that Burton can do. I think Yoshi I think he would be a fabulous wide receiver 3. When we interviewed him on the show, we asked him, you think you wide receiver 3? Now that T isn't here, I feel like Burton stretching the field with Yoshi is the number 3. He showed me enough that he could win the one-on-one matchups that we saw in the AFC Championship game that Trent Irwin couldn't do when Tyler Boyd went out. Yoshi could do that. But you need somebody to take the top off. And if you understand the logistics of a football field, you wouldn't care about what they talking about behind the scenes because you just saw them in preseason cook.
Yeah, man. Shout out once again to our sponsor, BETUS. Apparently, we should have told you guys to take the money line for the Pats last week. We tried to go through a couple bets. They didn't work out. We took the over on Zach Moss. That didn't work out. But shout out to them. Head over to betus.com. and use the promo code YouTube150 for a nice 150% deposit up to $2,000. So make sure you guys hit them up. We'll be back with hopefully some better plays this week against Kansas City. So definitely make sure you tap in, hit them up. Make sure you let them know Ace and Zim sent you. And also use that promo code YouTube150. That's going to get you the biggest match on your deposit there. But yeah, bro. Let's talk about the defense. We talked a lot about the offense. Me personally, outside of the run defense, I didn't really have much of an issue with what the defense did in this game, right? Like situations that they were put in, I wasn't too mad. I knew, and maybe it's because my expectations were that I was somewhat worried about the run defense coming into this game. I think coming into this season, I felt like that. We knew DJ Reader wasn't there. We knew that the defense struggled against the run last season. We knew that we came into this with a McKinley Jackson out, Chris Jenkins out, What are we going to do? Do we even have a nose tackle? They come into this game without a nose tackle. So based off of the circumstances, I wasn't too upset with them, but you knew that they were going to do one thing: run the ball with Ramon Stevenson. Like, it wasn't any kind of second guessing. What is this offense going to do? It was almost as predictable about what Zac Taylor and his offense is going to do against cover 2 shell. You knew that they were going to hand the ball off to Ramondre Stevenson. The issue that I had, which everybody has kind of talked about as well, the missed tackles. The fact that they had this guy dead to rights, it seemed like a bunch of different times in this game, and didn't bring him down. And those were plays where he was able to extend and let the clock continue to run off and convert first downs and get into field goal range. And the fact that Jacoby Brissett was able to pick up, first downs with his legs, 14 yards here, 14 yards there, like, that part of it was a little disheartening. Like, I understand that, DJ Reader is no longer there, but at the end of the day, you got to move on from that. At the end of the day, DJ Reader isn't walking through that door. At the end of the day, DJ Reader is suiting up for Monday Night Football for the Detroit Lions. So at the end of the day, you have to have some kind of adjustment to that. Did the Bengals have that? No, and to me, like, I don't know why Zac put the pressure of them at the end of the game with 3 timeouts left and a 2-minute warning to put his defense in that kind of situation when they've been on the field literally the entire game. The entire first half they were on the field. So, like, the only smoke that I got for the defense, Jordan Battle's got to play more than one snap, bro. Let's be real. Like, Jordan Battle's got to play more than one snap. Like, I see a lot of people getting on Geno Stone. If you did your research, Geno Stone, Ravens fans will tell you they are biggest ops, but even they would tell you he's not really a person that you're going to hang your hat on defending the run. And if you know that as a team, that is where you can put a guy like Jordan Battle in those spots on early downs here and there if you see Geno Stone struggling against the run. Like, using the correct personnel was my only issue. I can't really get mad at the defense, though, bro. For them to give up, 16 points against the Patriots offense, it's not great.
16. It really wasn't even 16 if you think about the Charlie Jones fumble, because then the defense stepped up and limited them to 3. I don't even put that 3 on them because I feel like that was on Charlie Jones fumbling the punt return.
And then you talk about fumble. I felt like the one where we challenged the joint and they were like, oh yeah, Ramondre Stevenson just for sure recovered the ball. No, the hell he didn't. Like,
you don't think he did?
No, Logan Wilson reached in there, was able to grab it. Like, yeah,
really?
Bro, like, yes. Did you? Oh, you didn't see it because you were at the stadium.
I mean, on the Jumbotron, it looked like he got it back.
Hey, people, chat, tells them how crazy that fumble looked, bro. Like, I'm not one of those, the ref should have done this kind of guys, but like, the defense tried to make a game-changing play with that situation. It didn't roll their way. But yes, the camera angle of it was like Ramondre Stevenson goes down. He loses the ball.
I know he fumbled.
He tries to put like one hand over it. You see an arm from Logan Wilson reach in and grab the ball. And then it starts to get like, I think Ramondre on another angle tries to get his hand back on it. But I'm like, all right, what's happening? At the end of the day, Joseph Osai ended up with the ball. But I guess bro had more control of the ball.
The angle that they kept on showing, it looked like he recovered again. I never seen no Logan Wilson. They kept on showing the same.
They showed y'all probably the one that we ended up seeing at the end. So it was pretty close. They didn't show for how long Ramondre Stevenson got his hand back on the ball. That's the only thing. But
I didn't know that. Okay, all right, let me tell you about the defense for me. All right. So I do give him a slight pass, but same issue. Like, people telling me, well, like, excusing the staff for the personnel issues, like the Trent Irwin over Burton or whatever, like, that's unexcusable to me. Like, I'm very mad at that. I'm like, Trent Irwin not as much, but if you look at the snap count, Trent Irwin, like, I mean, come on, bro. You can't give Trent Irwin had 33 snaps. Burton had 4. I can't get like 6 more. Remember coming into the game, I said, bro, just give him like 10 or 12. In the 4 that they had him in, they just had him in as a blocker. But on the defensive end, if you're getting killed in the run game, would it matter? Why is meta active if you're just going to run him on special teams only? If you know you're getting killed in the run game, he honestly might be the most instinctive player that we have on the whole team. And in those clutch situations, rotate them dudes in, Lou. Like, I'm going to tell you right now, going up against Pacheco, like the way that he keeps plays and he runs like and keeps on running out, like grinding his feet, like after he gets tackled or whatever, you're going to need a meta and you're going to need a Jordan battle in that game because those are the guys that are more sure-handed tacklers. And you kind of pointed that out with Geno. And I look at them and I'm like, why aren't y'all adjusting? This team is telling you they're not going to throw the ball. I don't even think Jacoby Brissett had more than 120 yards. So they're telling you right now, we're not throwing the ball at all. So now on early downs,
on the field, not doing anything crazy. I still don't know their receivers' names.
I'm coming in with
after the game.
On defense, on early downs, I'm coming in with my guys to go and do it. Shout out to Tufele. Zach Carter had real good games up front. One of my biggest issues was going to be the defensive line, and I thought the defensive line held up good. I thought they played way better than what I thought. And it was Dax Hill, Geno Stone, some of the linebackers missing tackles when they had dude dead to rights. The defensive line did what they had to do up front in a lot of them different spots. But when you know that they're running the ball like that, I think another personnel thing that they were not paying attention to, just like this wide receiver thing, is they're not bringing in the guys like that, like a meta that you know would have been in that thing, like with his nose in there, just trying to hit somebody. And I really feel like he should be a part of that game. I wouldn't be shocked if they used him in this upcoming Chiefs game. I know that people think that that's a primary passing team, but the new Chiefs is a little bit more defensive oriented. Now, last week, when they ran it up on the Ravens, they got the chance to, go down the field, but it is what it is. I think there's a role for him. I thought that the Bengals defense had 10 drives or whatever that they were out there. On 4 of the drives, they let the Patriots have 4 long drives. The other 6 drives, they did what they had to do, and they got them off the field, and it kept them under, I still say 13 points because of the fumble. I don't really put it on them, but it is what it is, and it only scored 16. The Bengals are created to score 24-plus points every single week in the National Football League. I went back to 2021. As bad as our team was as far as consistency was or whatever, bro, 24, 31, run it up on the Ravens, 41, like just big numbers. And I'm like, damn, we were saying how inconsistent they were in that season because they would just throw bombs. And now the league has changed up and now you got to take everything underneath. But I'm just like, bro, I can't. Them scoring 10 points, the Bengals are not. If they have to do that, you will hate this defense. You will hate this defense. If they're only scoring 10 points, you will hate the defense.
Right. I don't want to leave without, putting some positive out there. Logan Wilson, 3 quarterback hurries, led the team with 13 tackles. Evan McPherson was able to hit the 51-yarder. Looks like they have a punter. They actually announced his name on the broadcast as Rico.
Yeah, Rico.
I thought that was pretty dope. I've heard people say Racal and all that.
No, it's Rico.
Like it's Rico. Rico did his thing. Uncle Rico did his thing. Offense did not do their thing. But
have y'all seen Rico? Have you seen Rico?
I've never seen him. I've heard the name. I wanted him to win the job over Robbins, but I wouldn't know him if he passed by me in the supermarket.
He held a snap on the McPherson snap, good snap, whatever, too. But I'm going to tell you, in person, he's a large individual. Dude is like 6'4", and he's built like a linebacker. He is not a small dude. I could see Rico, like, hitting somebody out there on, like,
80-yard punt, bro. Like, that's crazy. But, yeah,
Rico's
man.
A big dude, bro.
This offense was more skept than the Richies on Lynn for what they did out there. It was kind of crazy. But the one thing that I will do is I'll tip my cap to the Patriots, man. Like, I will say that, they came out, took care of business, a team that's trying to figure out what their identity is. They ran the cover 2 shell. They ran the ball. They kept Joe Burrow off of the field. They kept our offense ineffective. And they came out there and ended up getting a week 1 win. So shout out to them. They came and did their thing. But, yeah, this is a Bengals channel. So, yeah, we're going to have smoke for the Bengals. But Kansas City is up next. We're going to get into that more so in our preview show coming up on Wednesday. So appreciate you guys for tapping in with us. But right now, we're going to pay some bills and toss it to our friends at Midwest Best BBQ.
Wings and them CTVs. Midwest Best is the place to be for queuing wings. Midwest Best is the place to be for queuing wings. It's the Ace to the Zim, M to the B's. Uno wings, G-Funk wings, and them CTVs. Midwest Best is the place to be for queuing wings. Midwest Best is the place to be for queuing wings. Say what up to Jordan Battle. We be going to battle. Intercepting balls like CTV did on Seattle. Putting 6 up on AZ. Juice gang amazing. Make sure you come get these wings, cause Zimby stay blazing. And T-Game be smooth as ice. Jamal making DBs fold. TV got big levels, and now you already know. Hits so pretty for Uno wings. Cam got the new wings. We call them CTBs. Only at MBs. Asian to the Zim. M to the B's.
Shout out to Midwest Best BBQ, 669 Justice Court in Loveland, Ohio. And what did you have when you were at Midwest Best BBQ over the weekend? What'd you end up getting when you was at Midwest?
I went and got them Unos and them Grippos, and yeah, doing my thing.
Did you try the Dillinator wing?
No, but a lot of people did.
Okay, cool.
I had them one time before.
Nah, for sure. Make sure you guys stop in at Midwest Best BBQ. They got some of the best wings, voted to have the best wings in the Natty. So please be sure to check in there and let them know Ace and Zim sent you. If you want to drown your sorrows from this weekend, because we only got to get over it by about Wednesday. But if you want to drown your sorrows in G-Funk sauce, go ahead and head over to Midwest Best BBQ. They got you over there. But as you guys know, the Wincinnati podcast is powered by BETUS. We appreciate them for sponsoring the show. And you guys know that the Wincinnati show is live every Monday and Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Me and Zim will be here to break down the big one. I mean, this is what we're here for. Week 2, Kansas City, Cincinnati. We'll be here to break it down. We'll see what happens when the Bengals head to Arrowhead. But with that being said, appreciate you guys. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Zimhude, at New Stripe City, at Wincinnati Pod. At Wincinnati Pod is the only Twitter for this podcast. So if you're putting something else out there, that is not us. So make sure you tag us at Wincinnati Pod. We appreciate you guys for tuning in for the Wincinnati Podcast.